Let me guess, your agency, your consulting, or your coaching business is stuck at about 10 to 20K per month. You want to grow it, but you're stuck at this peculiar place where you're stuck between fulfilling your client work and not being able to scale, where you get some sales, but you get just enough to have a profitable business, but you do not have enough money to reinvest into lead generation. And any bit of money that you have that you reinvest into lead generation always flops. There's three things that you have to nail all at the same time to be able to get out of this vicious cycle where you get a client, it takes all of the time for you to deliver good results for the client, and then all you can do is get one or two more clients for the little free time that you have in your business, and then basically the cycle continues and carries on. And the only way to get out of this cycle is again to nail these three things that I'll talk about if you want to grow your business to 100K, 250K, and even $1 million a month. All of the clients that I worked with that I took from a small business, agency, consulting, coaching, even some SaaS businesses, and to essentially a business that worked with dozens of clients, and the CEO was not as involved in client delivery and kind of like the daily nitty-gritty, but more on the high-level stuff. Again, three things that you have to take care of. Let's jump onto my share screen and I'll show you what those are and the best ways on how you can nail them in your business. All right, let's talk about the three most important factors to help you get out of the 10 to 20K months where you're stuck doing client delivery and you cannot seem to scale past that. The three most important things you'll have to hit is customer lifetime value, delivery, and sales. You have to hit all three. They're not mutually exclusive and you cannot hit just two and then leave the third one for later. You have to hit all three. You have to hit them almost at the same time, or you need to start working on them all at the same time. The good news is that it's not that complicated, and in this video I'm going to basically lay it out on like a silver platter how you should do it, a game plan, and also why you should do it. So let's talk with customer lifetime value. So customer lifetime value is essentially how much money a client will pay you in the entirety of the time that they're going to work with you. And the higher customer lifetime value, the better, because you can take the money that the lots of money that the client invests with you, and you can reinvest that money into advertising, into hiring A players, into affording more SaaS tooling to help you automate your delivery. But if you're not making a lot of money per client, well, then it's going to push you to have to, first of all, work with more clients, which is always a pain and will clog up your delivery and make it super hard to scale. That's number one. Number two, it will actually give you less margins, which means you'll not be able to outbid your competitors when it comes to advertising and generating leads, or just generally, you'll be able to invest less money into marketing, which makes it hard to scale, because one of the problems why you're stuck at 10 to 20K months is because you cannot generate more leads. And if you make F all with your client work, and you don't have profit margins stacked aside to reinvest back into your marketing, well, you're essentially in a catch-22 situation where you're never going to be able to scale. So customer lifetime value, how to increase it? It operates based on a very simple formula. Price, which is how much money they pay you, the client, versus time, multiplied by time, which is how long they work with you. How long they work with you is tied to two things: delivery, which we'll talk about next, and then also your packaging of the product, which is also, by the way, connected to the price. So when it comes to, customer lifetime value, the two things you have to take care of is a good packaging of your product, which will justify a high price. And also you need to rock delivery, because it will reduce churn rate, right? Churn rate is basically how quickly your clients drop off. The lower the churn rate, the slower they drop off, or the less they drop off, right? And if they drop off at a high rate, again, it's not good. Even if they're paying you lots of money, if they work with you only for 1 month, that doesn't give you enough time to make money with your client. But first let's talk about packaging. The way packaging works is, and the way I like to do it is, I like to break down the way you explain and present your product or services into a multi-tiered framework. This is also how you present it on a sales call when you do your pitch. So instead of saying, I'll generate you 60 leads in 30 days, you actually describe them, your working process, and you make it feel like they're getting more than what they pay. You don't make them feel. You're just a better communicator, because if you're going to provide a service, you can either say, I'll do the service, or you can actually explain it in a very enticing way that will make the prospect feel like, wow, this process is very in depth. I'm getting a lot of stuff here, and it's well worth the money I'm paying for this, or it's worth more than what I'm actually paying for this. So instead of saying, hey, we'll do marketing for you or we'll do lead gen, you say, we're going to hone down on your ICP. We'll do like a deep dive audit. Then we're going to use our software technology to scrape leads, right? And it's literally the best software technology on the market, or it's one of the best. Then we're going to craft emails, and our emails guaranteed get like a 5% positive response rate. And here's how we craft it. We use AI, personalization, blah, blah, all that stuff, right? And number 4, we'll actually do sales consulting, right? So to help you convert those leads into sales, right? So see how this sounds a lot better and more enticing than just we'll do delivery for you, or we'll just generate some leads, right? So again, if you explain it well, if it sounds sexy, if it sounds like more than what they're paying, you'll be able to justify 2, 3, 4 times more money. Actually, one of my clients I work with, John Hodder, you can check out his testimonial on my YouTube channel, but we literally increased his prices by 2 times, which allowed him to go from 50K to 100K in just 30 days because we improved his packaging, which gave him the feeling that, oh my God, I'm like doing actually a lot of good work here, and gave him the confidence to pitch the 2x price on the call, and his sales rate did not drop for 1 bit, which is amazing. So packaging is number 1. And then also what I like to give is some sort of guarantee. I like to call these smart guarantees because it helps you maximize your upside while minimizing clients' downside. What that means is that it basically creates a win-win situation. Some people say there's no win-win situations in business. I feel sorry and pity those people. You can totally create win-win scenarios. So what a win-win scenario would look like. For example, in the context of lead gen, you can say, hey, you pay us 3K, we'll generate you 60 leads in 30 days. And if we don't generate you 60 leads in 30 days, we'll work with you as long as it takes to generate those leads, even if we have to work for 90 days, right? Typically, we don't go there. We really fulfill on our promise, but we have to do it. But if we have to do it, we'll do it, right? So it's a smart guarantee. It means you don't really promise them money back, and but the client still feels secure that they're actually going to get what they're paying for. It also helps you stay sharp on top of your game, and basically, who wants to fulfill on their promise to work with the client for 2 extra months? Nobody. So it's going to make you stay on top of your game as well, so that you can get the leads, and then you can try to charge them for the next invoice for 60 more leads delivered, right? So that's smart guarantee. Or, in the context of some other business, if you're doing B2C and not necessarily B2B, for example, if you're helping them to lose weight, you can say, if you do the work, like if you get on calls, if you don't miss the calls, etc., 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 and if you do the logins of your weights, and if you fill out essentially all the dieting sheets that we're going to give you, if you do that and you still don't lose weight, we're going to give your money back, or again, we're going to work with you for as long as it takes. Again, these smart guarantees protects both you and the client. Protects you in case a client is lazy and doesn't fulfill on their end of the bargain and then asks for a refund. Personally happened to me a couple of times. It was not a pleasant experience, but it also protects the client, making sure that you actually deliver and fulfill upon your promise. So this is how you essentially justify higher pricing, and then which contributes to higher customer lifetime value. And the next part is churn, reducing churn rate and maximizing the time that the clients stick around working with you. And this is largely tied to delivery. And this is the next thing that you'll have to fix if you want to scale from 10 to 20K per month and like client delivery hell. But again, before I move on, just to make it super clear, abundantly clear, again, if you're on an agency and you feel like you can't scale, or if you're making too little money working with too many clients, I would work on packaging and work on giving some smart guarantees, which will allow you to close more people and at higher price points. If you're charging 1K per month for your services, and if you want to scale to 50K, look, you'll have to work with 50 clients. That's a lot of clients, okay? On the other hand, you can charge 2K or 3K and work with 2 or 3 times as fewer clients, right? Which makes it a whole lot easier. And from my experience, charging more money is as simple as just saying a different number on a sales call, unless you're going into like 10K per month territory, right? So that's that. Let's talk about delivery. Let me try to move this thing a little bit so it does not get in the way. Boom. Okay. Almost there. Nice. Okay, God, Jesus Christ. Okay, let's leave it here. All right, let's talk about delivery. Now, when it comes to delivery, as soon as, again, you start hitting those 10 to 20K months, when you start working with already like 4 or 5 clients, what you need to do is start creating SOPs for the delivery, right? And SOPs stand for Standard Operating Procedures that will allow you to start immediately hiring people, like extra team members, to take care of delivery, because you cannot scale a business if that's what you want. For example, I know, like, at the moment of this video, I don't want to build a 100K plus per month company. I just don't want to do it. I work with 5-6 clients at a time. I enjoy working with them. I get them amazing results, which maximize my client lifetime value. They pay me a lot of money because I make them 10 times more. They also work with me for longer, so I don't need to do that. I'm a lone wolf, kind of like working with my clients, and I enjoy it. But if you want to build an agency, if you want to build a consulting business, if you want to go to those $100,000 to $1 million a month, you'll have to outsource delivery and get out of delivery, which you can only do if you hire people to do it for you. Which you can only do if you have great standard operating procedures that will enable you to ramp up new employees and new team members quickly, right? And every time you don't have an SOP, you will have to pay by your personal time, right? And if you don't have this SOP mindset where you create processes, you'll have to get trained, or you'll have to adopt it. Because again, every time you don't create SOPs or you don't use SOPs, you will pay by your personal time. And if you want to scale, you want to focus on higher revenue activities instead of spending your time on essentially showing how to access Google folder for clients, or how to set up a Google Ads campaign, or whatever the service that you provide, right? So you have to create documentation. Point number one. Point number two is you actually want to, and this is kind of something you have to think about in the very beginning of you creating a business. But here you are watching this video now, but I'll still mention it. Your delivery needs to be on the easier side, or like it needs to be scalable, right? So if you offer a highly personalized service, highly personalized is not good. Like, for example, in my case, I offer a highly personalized service for my clients, right? I invest my time working with you. We get on calls. I, talk to your team members if there's a need for that. It's not good for scalability, but I enjoy it because I love working with people, and I'm content not making like $100K to $1 million a month at the moment, right? I had businesses. I used to hit 100K months, but it's just not what I'm doing right now, right? So highly personalized services, not so good. Unless you've mastered client lifetime value. You can charge 10, 15K per month for marketing services and have like a marketing team, etc., etc. But again, you have to position yourself in a certain way. But still, the more automated your process can become, the better. And what I mean by automated, I don't mean you have to have automations like make.com or AI running for you. I'm just saying that it should be replicable for people with a average skills, right? In their domain of expertise, right? So, for example, if you run lead gen through Google Ads for clients, you have to have SOPs, and your system needs to be simple enough that someone with 1 or 2 or maybe maximum 3 years of experience with Google Ads will come and quickly understand it. Or maybe even you can hire someone with only a couple of months of experience for very cheap. And if your service SOPs are good, and if your service is quite templatable and automated in a way that you can essentially explain it in a few simple steps, that's great, because it will then give you access to a much larger pool of talents, which you can hire for cheaper, and you don't have to look for people for so long. However, if you're working with let's say with businesses or with a type of service that's highly automated, highly also tied to you, to your authority and to your knowledge, and it's very difficult for you to pass it on to your employees, you'll be stuck in client delivery. For example, in my case, man, I've been in marketing for 10 years. If I wanted to bring someone I'm not boasting, it's just reality, to my level of marketing knowledge, Jesus, it's going to take many years and I don't want to invest that, right? It's too risky for me. The person can leave. So for the service I'm offering, it's highly personalized and I'm content with that. And it's tied to me. I'm content with that, right? But if you want to scale, run things at a high scalability, the offer needs to be a lot more simple, a lot less connected to you or not connected to you whatsoever, and to create standard operating procedures, processes, so that it's replicable and teachable to new talent. So that's delivery. Number 3 is sales. Sales is king. I always say this. Sales is king. And the first rule is, if you want to scale, is you have to do sales calls. Have to do sales calls for as long as you can before you delegate it, right? So the first thing you get yourself out of is delivery. You can still keep doing client communication for a bit, but even then I would hire an account manager. But sales you have to do as long as you can, because you are the face of the brand, most likely at this point, face of the brand. You own the most knowledge, and then you've been doing it the longest in your business duration, which makes you just a better person who's going to sell it, who's going to sell your products or services. If you do want to delegate sales, no problem, but you have to first delegate setting and lead generation, and then like qualifying leads, and then you're going to get fed only cream of the crop leads, and then after you're making, I would say probably more than $60,000-$70,000 per month, then you can actually hire a closer, right, to do it for you. And even when you're gonna hire a closer, the ramp up is gonna take, like full ramp up is going to probably take 8 to 12 weeks. I don't know why it keeps coloring blue, some of the letters. 8 to 12 weeks. You start off by giving the closer, let's say, 1 or 2 calls per day in the first 2 weeks. If they do well, you can ramp it up to 3 to 5 a day. Again, depends on the volume, right? And then, let's say in the next 3 to 6 weeks or so, and then you can kind of like delegate it fully after that. But sales you have to do for as long as you can, because it's the most important thing. It's the livelihood and bloodline of your business. And what you should get out of first is delivery, then it's sales, and then you keep probably being and remaining face of the brand for as long as possible, and that's kind of like the last thing you should get out of, right? If you run an expert-based business. If you don't run an expert-based business, which is not tied to a brand, if you run run-of-the-mill marketing, run-of-the-mill is a wrong word, but if you run a marketing agency that's built on its good word, company's name's brand, not yours, fine. Just get yourself out of sales as late as possible. And if you're a business owner and you don't like doing sales, well, I'm sorry, but you're kind of screwed, because if you're not going to be able to sell it, then who the hell will? This is not for you if you're an engineer and you're building a SaaS, and then you bring on like a CSO, chief of sales, to do the selling. This is not for you. I'm talking about you if you're on a service-based business, a coach, a consultant, an agency of some sort, right? You're an expert in essentially delivering the service. Well, then you have to learn sales, because, like, first of all, how you're going to start a business if you don't know how to do sales in the first place, and secondly, how you're going to train people if you don't know how to sell in the first place, right? So that's that, guys. Again, to do a quick wrap up, if you want to get out of this 10 to 20 to sometimes 30K delivery hell, where you're essentially working as a solo freelancer, but maybe with like 1 or 2 VAs, and you want to get out of it, first of all, you have to make sure that you're making the most money per client that you work with. Again, if they pay you too little and or they leave you too soon, it will be very difficult to scale. So you would have to fix the delivery first and then learn how to sell it at the high price points, which is this is how you do it. I just showed you. And then you want to take care of the delivery. And that's why you do all three at the same time, right? You don't have to go 1, 2, 3. This is not how it works. You keep being a part of sales for as long as possible, which you do parallel to working on your delivery, and then being strategic about increasing your customer lifetime value. If you feel like you're stuck in any of these three or all three, go to nazimconsulting.com, apply for a strategy session. I'm going to have a full personalized audit of your business for free, and then tell you your biggest bottlenecks and what should be the next move on the chessboard. And if you like the plan, we can even work together, and I can be your mentor and a guide and a consultant in helping you nail your business and scale it to the next level, most likely to 100K per month and 250K per month. And some of my clients I scaled to up to, I think my maximum was $700,000 per month. And there's even a case study for that on my website and YouTube if you want to check. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.